Hey there, welcome back to another review. This time for a film that I know I reviewed quite a few years ago, but since Till sent me the Blu-ray, and this deserves a lot more credit. This deserves a lot more than it's gotten, and that's a film called Judgment Night from 1993, a very underrated thriller starring Emilio Estevez, Stephen Dorff, Cuba Gooding Jr., you got Denis Leary as the villain, you have Jeremy Piven. Great cast, very solid effort by Stephen Hopkins, which this was his follow-up to Predator 2. And for those who follow my channel, you know that I think Predator 2 is one of the most underrated sequels of all time. In fact, if people were to ask me, what do you think is the most underrated sequel of all time, I would pick Predator 2. That's how much I love Predator 2. I love the first one, but Predator 2 to me is just an insanely great action horror sci-fi film. Now, this film came out, it did not do well. It came out October of 1993, and it debuted at number 5 with 4 million, and it only made $12 million. So this was a box office flop, sadly. And what's even more bullshit, this debuted in the same week as the Beverly Hillbillies movie, and that debuted at number 2. And you know how much that movie made? $44 million. So the Beverly Hillbillies, I love Jim Varney, but not for the Beverly Hillbillies. That made 44 million in the US, but this only made 12 million. That just blows my fucking wad. Right into my fucking brain. This film, it's well directed. I like the use of lighting in the film, the use of oranges and reds for a lot of the street locations of the movie. I like some of the camera work, some of the scene transitions where we'll, like, push into a guy's back and then we're flowing to another scene, or it's like we're on some guy's shoulder and the camera's panning left and then there's a wall and now we're in a different location. Some of the directing choices of that nature, I thought this went at a very clip pace. I never got bored with it. I thought this was just a very solid thriller where you get 4 people. Emilio Estevez, who has a wife and a baby, his brother, played by Stephen Dorff, his buddy, played by Cuba Gooding Jr., another buddy of theirs, Jeremy Piven, who got this RV, and the 4 of them are going to this boxing match in Chicago. Want to get that right? Yeah, Chicago. They're stuck in traffic. They don't know what to do. Jeremy Piven gets the idea of taking this shortcut through this poor neighborhood, and that's where things go wrong. They witness a murder done by Denis Leary and his gang of people, and throughout the night they get chased by Denis Leary and his guys. And this is one of those movies where I'm a big fan of Emilio Estevez. I think he does a great job in this film as just a normal guy. He's not a superhero. He's not a Superman. Just doing the best that he can. I thought Stephen Dorff did a good job as his younger brother. They have a little bit of friction between them, but it's not to an annoying state of affairs. Cuba Gooding Jr., I thought he did a good job. He's a character who, at some points, wants to either be a hero or be a little bit maybe too macho for his own good. Jeremy Piven, he's a guy who definitely gets scared during the situation, but at the same time, I did not find him unlikable. Denis Leary, I think, did a great job as the villain. He was menacing, but at times very funny with some of the rants he would do. I think he pulled it off very well as the villain of the film. The score by Alan Silvestri, it's a bit too much like Predator or Predator 2, but that wasn't on. Alan Silvestri had no control of that. There's actually a very nice guy who's a wealth of information named Jack Craven, If I remember, I'll put the link down below. He actually put up some tracks to the original store, which was supposed to be more of a sort of an electronic store, which I heard a couple pieces. I remember when I first heard them, I wasn't sure what to think of it, because I remember not minding the score to the film, but listening to it and wondering what the other tracks would have been, I think that would have worked better for the movie, because this score, again, is just a bit too much like Predator, or again, Predator 2, more Predator 2. And that's because the director, Stephen Hopkins, they rejected that score Alan Silvestri did, and they said, just do Predator 2. Just do the score for Predator 2, pretty much that. And Predator 2 is one of those scores that drew on me, and I do like the score nowadays. And I don't think it's an awful score, but it's just, it makes me think any minute now, Teen Willie or Danny Glover's going to show up to fight a Predator amongst these guys having their thing. So I think it would have been better for Alan Silvestri to do his own thing. But that's a little nitpick. I do like the soundtrack, the songs, because they did this interesting thing with the soundtrack where they would take like a hip hop and like heavy metal or rock and roll, and they kind of blend them together. And there's quite a few songs I like. I like the opening and ending credits song of "You Played Yourself," a do 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 do, a do 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 do, boom, a do 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 do, falling, falling. I think that's the name of the song, Fallen. And then I like the song, You're Just Another Victim, Kid, which you heard a lot of the advertising. You're just another victim. And there's another one called Come and Die With Me. There's more to the lyrics, but that's the best I could do without attempting to sing, which I would fail at. But I like quite a bit of the soundtrack. I think it's a good soundtrack. And the lighting, when I compare it to, say, Atomic Blonde, one of the things I disliked about it was the entire from beginning to the end was this blue filter. Here, it's not every scene with this red-orange lights, and it felt more natural here. Like, I don't know, because nowadays they use more filters, and back in the day they actually used lights on sets. I'm guessing that's what it is here. I don't know for sure, because there's no special features on anything. This is just the trailer. I think this is a film that a lot of people saw on cable throughout the years. First time I saw it was on VHS, and then on DVD. And the film looks great on Blu-ray. I'll say that. It's a beautiful transfer, in my opinion. And I like that they have the original trailer, because when you find the trailer, they have a narrator saying the names of the actors. It kind of breaks the flow of the trailer, like Emilio Estevez. Here, they have that same trailer, but no voiceover, which works better. Wish there were features and interviews with the director, but yeah, this is never going to get anything. But it should. I thought the four guys played off each other very well. I thought it really seemed as if they were friends. They have a good rapport with each other, some nice fun back and forth. Again, I think the directing is solid, whether it be the opening where it's in slow motion, where we're seeing this friendly neighborhood that Emilio Estevez lives. I thought with each character they did little bits with them, like Stephen Dorff, he thinks he's tough, but then when stuff happens, he freezes up, and he gets mad at himself for freezing up. You have Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character, who's gets a little bit too macho for his own good. Jeremy Piven, who seems like a very fun guy, but then he gets very scared and at times wants to cover his own ass, but at the same time, he's not so much to the point that I want to see him die or he's annoying or anything. He's just, a scared guy who's flawed. And I bought the four of them, Jeremy Piven, these three guys, as friends and well together. And of course, these two as brothers. I bought I thought they had good chemistry with each other. And when stuff happens, it's well done. For example, when they have to leave this RV that's stuck in this alleyway and Emilio Estevez lights it on fire, good practical explosion. Denis Leary has some nice rants, like when Jeremy Piven tries to buy him off, and he says, "Well, you're nothing like me," and yeah, That don't mean shit. This is my fucking world that you're living in, motherfucker. I think he made a great bad guy. He's a guy I wouldn't want to mess with, but at times he's very funny. Like when he maybe accidentally, but maybe not, kills one of his henchmen. And he's like, oh, I hate whiners. Just yap, yap, yap. Just fucking yap, yap, yap. Yap about the food. And then he realizes he drives one of his own men, and you're not quite sure whether he did it accidentally or he didn't do it accidentally. He has this kind of look on his face that it could go either way. Emilio Estevez, I've always been a fan of him, whether it be Men at Work, Maximum Overdrive. I've only seen the first Mighty Ducks, and that was a decade ago, but I remember not minding it. Free Jack, I even like Free Jack. But it's these four guys on the run for their lives, going through the neighborhood, trying to figure out what they can do. They sneak into this building, talk to these people who then want them out. I like how most of these people are not assholes. It's like, hey, these guys put us in here. We don't want to risk their lives, so we gotta leave. Before that, when they're hiding in this boxcar, and you have these bums who are trying to fuck with them and trying to make them give their stuff to these bums to keep quiet. You get some nice dialogue exchanges with Denis Leary, like when he's trying to steer him. He's like, don't move, don't whisper, don't even breathe, which was one of the taglines on a few of the posters and marketing. Not only posters, but some of the TV spots and such. Or when Disney finds out these guys are in this building, they talk to this other gang that's there. And Disney goes, well, how much can I pay you? And the other guy goes out, well, if I want your money, I'll just take it. And Disney goes, no, you can't take my money. But you can take my money. And the guy's like, but there's blood on it. And he goes, what was the exact line of dialogue? He goes, you ever seen any that didn't? Yeah, like, that money got blood on it, man. Ever seen any that didn't? So I really got to give a lot of credit to Denis Leary. And just the acting in general, it's a really good cast. And it's a great looking movie. I think the cinematography of the streets and the lights make it this orange-red look through a lot of the streets. I thought built up the mood of the film. Get into more spoilers starting now. So if you don't want to hear more, starting now, more spoilers. There's a scene where they gotta go across this ladder, go from point A to point B, and Jeremy Piven tries to talk these guys out, but he kind of, you tell by his face, he knows this is a last-ditch effort, and then when he dies, I feel bad for it, because even though he did some things that was a little bit Weasley, I never found him to be that much of a unlikable guy that I wanted to see him die. But at the same time, you kind of knew he was going to die, too. Getting thrown off the building. And you have sequences where they go into the sewers, and Emilio Estevez saves Cuba Gooding Jr., and Cuba Gooding shoots the guy. And that guy, what was the actor's name? Peter Green. He was the villain in The Mask with Jim Carrey. He also played Zed in Pulp Fiction. Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead. He's that guy. He gets shot by Cuba Gooding Jr. And like I said, there's some really decent camera work and some nice scene transitions that weren't too over the top to take me out of the movie. The finale, they break into this place so cops will come, but then they run from gunfire. The bad guys, two more, Denis Leary and this other guy, they kill the cops that are there, the security guys. Cuba shoots one, but he gets shot. Stephen Dorff finally but he finally gathers some courage and helps Cuba Gooding Jr. out. And then Emilio Estevez is drawing noise to fight Denis Leary. There is one big goof in the film, watching it again. When Denis Leary and Emilio Estevez have their scuffle and they're going through this glass, and then there's a moment where Emilio has Denis Leary and Denis Leary has his gun. And watch this scene. When you watch the film again, pay attention. when the gun's here by Emilio, and it's like trying to fire at Emilio. Emilio's kind of dodging like this. And Emilio has Denis Leary here, and Emilio's here. Look at their faces. Their faces have no blood and no marks on them. The very next shot after that, when Denis Leary goes and then hits Emilio just one time, like hits him like this. All of a sudden, Emilio's on the ground. He's got blood everywhere on his face, on his nose, on his face. And then you look at Denis Leary, he's got like a cut on his nose and blood on his face. I think Emilio hit him one time in the face, and okay, maybe that would have the cut on his lip, but yeah, Emilio hits him once, and then Denis Leary hits him once. And I just hit him one time. Now all of a sudden there's blood on their nose, over their face, over here, on both of them. And again, one shot, their faces are perfectly fine. The next shot, their faces all look like they've been through a shredder. Or the shredder from, or any kind of shredder. It just, I did. It wasn't like I was paying attention to the goofs. It's just one of those. Maybe just watching it in HD. I'm like, oh, their faces are fine. Wait, now the next minute they're all bladed up and cut up. What the hell happened? So then, when you watch it again, it's after this fun dialogue where Emilio's like, "What's the matter, asshole? Why so quiet all of a sudden?" And then he's trying to get the gun at Emilio Estevez's ear. Both their faces are on profile. You can see they're fine, and then in that shot, they're all bloodied up. And you're like, how did that happen? Was there stuff cut out that was in between that? Or was it just bad continuity? I don't know. But then Denis Leary goads him and he just punches the shit out of Denis Leary. Emilio Estevez just punches the shit out of him. And ready to throw him off. Denis Leary grabs him. Emilio gets him off, pushes him down the stairs. I like the idea they play off the fact that, sometimes the bad guy gets one last stare. They didn't do that because they have Emilio walk by Dennis. It would have been very cliche for them to just grab Emilio. They don't do that. The cops come. I like Stephen Dorff's line of, "No thanks, man. I'm too young for this shit." Him and Cuba's going to be good. A cop actually gets back Emilio's wallet, which has a picture of his wife and kid. He walks off, and you have that song for the beginning, "Fallen," and the movie ends. It's a very I would call this underrated. No one talks about Judgment Night. Not many reviews. I saw a review from my friend Mike OCP, the older review from me, and that's really the gist of who has reviewed this film. Not many people. It's underrated. It's solid. It goes at a good pace. It's a well photographed film. I like the use of lighting. The soundtrack, the songs I like. The score is okay if you didn't deal with the fact it sounds a bit too much like Predator 2 score. But I've heard worse. I've heard better. I would have been more interested to see what Alan Silvestri's original score was, which again, go to that link down below. Jack Craven. He has some of the original music. I think that would have fit the film better, that music. Alan Silvestri's original choice. I like some of the songs, especially the cast. The cast do a wonderful job. That's one of the big points of the film. It's a great cast. It's a simple idea done very well. Denis Leary is a lot of fun as the villain. And the cast really make this film work. Again, sometimes scene, camera work, scene transitions. It's not shaky at all. It's not schizophrenic editing at all. Quite the opposite. That's a well-filmed, well-made, and especially well-cast movie of Judgment Night. Very underrated film that needs to be talked about more. Needs a lot more than it's gotten. Again, very underrated movie. It didn't deserve the flop. I don't know. Maybe October was a bad time for it. I don't know. Maybe because Emilio Estevez has never been a giant star. Maybe because, hey, Stephen Hopkins did Predator 2 and that film flopped. I don't know what the deal is, but I would say my second favorite Stephen Hopkins film. My favorite is Predator 2, and this would be number 2 for Stephen Hopkins. I think he did a really good job with this. I hope one day someone interviews them about it. But either way, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you later with another review. Bye-bye.